go! Didn't think you'd be seeing another top 10 so soon, did ya? Well, I didn't either, because I'm a lazy bastard. So today I'm gonna be listing off my top 10 favorite Pokemon. Just remember real quick, this is just my opinion, so if you don't agree, well, more power to you, but let's start with this top 10. We're off to an odd start with this one. So Sableye. Why do I like it so much? No clue, honestly. Just as I grew up with it, for some reason I just really fucking love Sableye. As well, it had no weaknesses up until recently with X and Y, and its Mega Evolution is personally one of my favorites. I mean, just look at that big ass jewel. Who wouldn't love a Sableye like this? Smogon Bird. Why? Because it's possibly the best out of all of the early game bird Pokemon. Aside from that, it's been a recent favorite of mine, so that's why it's not higher up on the list. But if you've ever used the Talonflame before, you know the power and things this bird could do to your team. Just remember the name. Smogon Bird. So this one is another recent favorite of mine, that being Breloom. A big reason as to why it became one of my favorites is due to the sheer fact that for the longest time I thought Breloom was just a shitty Pokemon. Then when I was playing through Pokemon Glazed, I decided to use Breloom on my team. I quickly learned that it is an amazing Pokemon. After that I started using Breloom in other things, and recently I've been trying to get a shiny Breloom because just look at it. Now all I need in my life is a Mega Breloom. Then I can die happy. This is where it gets a little sentimental. So the first Pokemon game I owned, not played because the first ones I played were Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, but the first one I owned was Diamond. In that game, a lot of things were brand new to me since I never really made it far when I initially played Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, mostly because I was just a kid. When it came to choose a starter, I didn't really know what to pick, so I just went with what I knew previously, the Fire-type Pokemon. As I played further and further through the game and saw Chimchar evolve, I was amazed, especially since this was the first new starter evolution chain I had seen since Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Years later, Chimchar still has a place in my heart for being that first. Also, Infernape's just a badass. Fearow. This one's got a bit of a story behind it, so bear with me real quick. A little over a year ago, I did a versus with a friend. It was a Leaf Green and Fire Red versus. Early on when we were playing, we were deciding potential Pokemon, and he called Pidgey, so I thought, hey, I don't really want to have the exact same Pokemon as him, so let me get Spearow. This kind of became the same case with Breloom, a Pokemon I thought was shit. I used it, and I ended up loving it. As well, I ended up using it throughout the entire series. Thank you. Thank you, Base Marley. Heatran's a weird one. Despite that, for some reason, when I was playing through Diamond ages ago, I caught and used the Heatran. After doing so, I transferred it over to Platinum and used it for basically the entire game. As a result, I began to enjoy Heatran. Despite its weird typing, it was powerful as shit. Probably because it was level 100 when I used it, but still, even though I don't use or even own a Heatran nowadays, it's still up there with my personal favorites. Oh my lord, yes. It's your boy, my main in Smash 4, Greninja. I'm just gonna be straight up honest about this. I hated the starters for Kalos. Just something about their designs and typings were complete garbage, at least for me. But then Frogadier comes out of nowhere with this evolution. When I saw this evolution, I immediately was like, holy shit. This looks fucking amazing. I'm completely serious when I say that Greninja easily became one of my favorite Pokemon from the start. To top it all off, shiny Greninja? Don't even get me started. This man Greninja was moved to fucking Ubers. I'm gonna stop before this gets out of hand. I love Greninja. Remember how I mentioned Smogon Bird was easily one of the best early game bird Pokemon? Here we have another example of that with Staraptor. Also real quick, you might be saying, why the hell are 3 out of the 10 Pokemon on this list flying types? I don't know. There just happened to be 3 flying type Pokemon that made it onto my top 10 list. Now one thing that separates Staraptor from any other bird Pokemon is the sheer fact that this thing can learn close combat. Hello, what? That made Staraptor so much more useful due to the fact that it's a fucking bird-type Pokemon, and it knows possibly one of the better fighting-type moves. Staraptor will forever be my favorite out of all the flying types. I've never been a big fan of ice types, however this one was a bit different. One day while level grinding in Pokemon Glazed, I noticed something was off with the Pokemon, that Pokemon being Froslass. So I just quickly searched up its sprite, and then it hit me. I found a fucking shiny Froslass. What made it so difficult to recognize it was a shiny was the fact that shiny Froslass looks way too similar. Nonetheless, I caught the Froslass and used it throughout the playthrough. And for those who don't know, at least up until that point, I had never gotten a shiny at all. Not counting things like event shinies or things like the red Gyarados. So when I finally got a shiny randomly one day, it easily became a favorite of mine. Although I will say, if I hadn't noticed the sprite was slightly off, I would have never gotten the shiny and Froslass wouldn't even be on the list. Thank you, base shiny Pokemon. There aren't too many of them, so let me just go through these honorable mentions real quick. Giratina. Seeing as Platinum is my personal favorite main series Pokemon game, and it's the main legendary in it, I loved it. Also just look at it, it's a fucking badass. Although I will say, shiny Giratina looks pretty bad. This one's a simple one. Hawlucha. My main reason for loving Hawlucha is simply because of its design. At least in my opinion, it's one of the only amazingly designed newer Pokemon. Now with that out of the way, let's talk about my #1 favorite Pokemon. So you may be wondering, what is my all-time favorite Pokemon? Gengar. And it's been that way for quite a while. Back in Diamond, there was an in-game trade where you could trade a Medicham for a Haunter with an Everstone. I had no real knowledge of Haunter, but I thought it was a cool looking Pokemon, so I trained up a Meditite, evolved it, and traded it to the girl who gave the Haunter in return. Afterwards, what I did is I traded that Pokemon over to a friend who traded it back so I could have a Gengar. And ever since, I've been using that same Gengar. Although I think it may be on my X and Y save. So as the years went on and a new Pokemon game came out, I would always transfer that Gengar, named Gaspar for some reason, I hate you for that Nintendo, and would use it throughout the games. Then we were introduced to Mega Evolution. Oh my lord, I freaked the fuck out when I saw Gengar got a Mega Evolution, an amazingly powerful one at that. And while I dislike Gengar's shiny for barely being a shiny, nothing will stop me from having Gengar at the top of the list. Well, that's it for this list. Unless we get some mind-blowing amazing Pokemon in the coming years, but it'll probably be a while till that happens. But at least until that happens, this has been my list of my top 10 favorite Pokemon. If you have enjoyed, be sure to drop a like and a comment real quick, or maybe even subscribe if you're really feeling it. As well, if you've enjoyed the video and want some more, you could check out my previous top 10, or maybe just some series I'm currently doing. Anyways, that's about it. I sincerely hope you have enjoyed. Thanks for watching. See ya!